Okay.
So, hello everyone. Today I'm talking with Taylor, and she's from Alabama, who is now living in Brooklyn, and she's been to all 193 countries. And fun fact, she broke the Guinness Book of World Record to have visited all 196 countries in the fastest amount of time. So that's also pretty incredible. That was what, 1 year and 189 days?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty.
It was a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And you did that in 2017, 18. Yes.
Yeah, I
So,
finished in 2018. Yeah.
yes. So it's a pretty inspiring feat, something which is very unique, something which is a dream of mine to also go to every country. It's tough for me to break a record because of the visa constraints and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that. But I wanted to know that your early life also travel heavy? Or did that curiosity of travel develop a bit later? How did that passion come into you?
Yeah, good question. It definitely is not something when I was little, I we didn't travel a ton. So the first time I left the country, I was actually in a girls' choir when I was in the fifth grade.
Oh,
And we went to Germany and Austria. Um, yeah, it was super cute. But it was really cool. So that was the first time I left the country, and then I didn't um, go anywhere again until I graduated from high school, and my aunt and uncle took me on a like high school trip to a couple countries, and yeah, then I studied abroad and when I was in school and I was in London, which made it really easy to, travel everywhere for not a lot of money.
yeah.
And I traveled to 20 countries when I did that. And um, that was really sort of the floodgates opening of I just like loved seeing so many different places and
So,
knew that, yeah, travel was going to be
yeah.
a big part of my life from there.
That's very interesting because also based in London, you could see a lot of Europe, do a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
So, when did that goal of of traveling turn into a goal of finishing 193? Or so, when did that
Yeah.
uh, when did that shift happen?
Yeah. So, right when I got back from studying abroad, I actually worked in an investment banking internship, which was like this big thing that I worked really hard for and like, grueling interviews and all of that. And so I did that the summer I got back and I hated it, right? Like it was not for me. It was not something that I could see myself doing, especially when I had just been traveling and just like had the time of my life, like going to all these places. And so I came back for my senior year of school and was like, I don't want to do that. But I do want to do this other thing. I do want to travel. And so um, by the second semester of my senior year, I was pretty set that that's what I was going to do. And I also knew that I had like limited funds and like limited amount of time. I wasn't just going to like be able to go for forever. So yeah, I just sort of set this goal to travel to as many places as I could. And then I thought, why not just try and go everywhere? Because I loved, seeing so many different places. So yeah, it really snowballed from there.
That's also very interesting because while you made that decision, also you also broke the Guinness Book of World Record to visit all the countries in the fastest time. So also that must also require some sort of pre-planning and some sort of
Yeah.
um, a, a mindset that I have to do this. I need witnesses. I need
Yeah.
other different things. So was that also quite early on? Was that at the beginning, or when did that come in?
Yeah. So I would say the very first thing was I just like did one plan through and was like, can this be done? Like, can you actually travel to every country, right? And once I realized, yeah, I think you can do it. Like, there will be some challenges, but like logistically, there are ways to do it. Um, from there, I started to like really plan through, okay, like what does this look like? What if I'm gonna set record, try to set records, like what does Guinness need? Which is a lot. And then I started working on like really, and you said we'd talk about it later, but the hardest part is a lot of times the visas. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think, pretty. pretty early on once you realize like you're gonna try and do the records. Yeah, just staying on top of that stuff and being organized is definitely the way to do it because it's a lot.
I bet. But then, what were some of the requirements? I know about the witnesses. I don't know about
Yeah.
any
Yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So when I did
so,
it, it was the witnesses, and then you had to have like a photo.
oh,
I also had like a video everywhere. You had to have like a written log of your time in that country. I uploaded any and every like receipt that I had. You had to have your like transportation ticket, so like your plane ticket, train ticket, bus ticket, whatever it was, and like your GPS location, you had to like have that. Your photos had to be time stamped. So like it had to be clear that like you were in that country, like when you said you were. I think that's it. I might be
going.
missing something. There were like eight or nine things. Yeah.
But but another question I had in mind was during that 1 year
Yeah.
and 189 days, did you have to repeat the countries you
Yeah.
already went to as well?
Yeah. So I didn't have to, like, other people who've done it, like they've counted some from their childhood, but I think for the youngest, you can count some from your childhood. So for that one, you don't have to. I think for the fastest, you probably have to do them all at once. Either way, I did everything because I was like, I haven't done that many. I mean, it's a lot. Like 20 was a lot, but um, it was also like they were in Europe, so they weren't like too difficult to get back to.
Yeah,
And I just felt like if I was going to do the whole thing, I wanted to do the whole thing, you know?
that's also something which you have to consider, right? Going to all the countries again and everything. But how did it feel after you
Yeah.
completed 193? How 196 actually? Because in your
Yeah.
case, you had three more countries. What was that also like? Because many people consider 193. Some people consider 197, 198. So what was the
Yeah,
consideration
there's
for
so
your?
many.
Yeah,
Yeah. And there's so many different ways to count it, and even now it's hard, right? But so I did the 193 and then Vatican City and Taiwan and Kosovo, and I felt like I
right.
was going to be like near those places, and
Yeah.
they have some recognition. So and Vatican City has a lot of recognition. They're very
Yes.
degrees of recognition, but places that I felt like I was going to be near and felt like they were important to go see.
Yes, absolutely. And how did you feel when the journey ended? Was it like a sense of
Yeah.
completion, or was it like a little bit of fear also in some sort of way that what comes next? So, how did you feel?
Yeah. Yeah, good question. Definitely completion exhaustion.
Mm,
When I was done, I was like so sick for like a month. My body just like shut down. And yeah, I think just like a sense of relief because like, it was a stressful thing. Like, yeah, absolutely, I would 100% do it again. Don't regret like doing any of it or anything like that. But it was like a stressful time, right? In so many different ways. So yeah, a sense of relief and just accomplishment. And yeah, I finished actually my last country was Canada, of all places. So, but I chose that so my family could easily come and be there. So it was really, really nice. And we went and saw Niagara Falls and it was cute. So
that's a really beautiful moment to share with your family, because I know many because I've interviewed some people, and the ending countries were a bit like off the grid. They were like Burkina Faso or Libya or somewhere like North Korea
right.
for most of them. So, and they can't share
Yeah,
that
yeah,
moment with family. So that's such a nice thing to have and to plan it in advance. That's
yep,
really, really sweet. That's really, really cool.
yep, yep.
So,
Yeah, it was a great
also,
time.
could you come home as well during the entire journey? Did you come home, get spend
Yeah,
some time with? Yeah.
I did. Yeah, yep. So there was a rule that you couldn't stop for like more than 2 weeks at a time.
Okay.
And so yeah, I could come home and yeah, I did a few times, especially like it would help if I was going from like one region of the world to the other. So like, I just had a tiny suitcase. So would like change the clothes that I had or the other big reason would be the so
Uh, I'm sorry I lost you for a bit.
oh, you're good. Where'd you lose
Uh,
me?
Just once when you were telling me that you had to stop home for the visas.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the I would change my suitcase and then also, yeah, would come back for visas. And I think um, a lot there were a few you had to go for in person.
Yeah,
And then other ones that, you just needed to get your visa back from having been mailed out or get
yeah.
your passport back from being mailed out. Yeah.
But I think you could work with two passports at one time as well, so that would make the journey a bit easier,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. So I would basically have like, I had a bunch of just envelopes, like the priority mail envelopes, like prepaid and all of the forms in them. And I would basically like leave those with my family and say like, okay, when the passport comes back, put it in this next form and then mail that off.
yes.
And I just had like all ready to go. So like all I had to do was put it in the mail. Yeah,
That's very that's it must require so much logistical planning as well, because I'm
so
assuming places
much.
in Africa would be tough. Some places
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
some places otherwise would also be tough. But
Yeah.
just because of the time frame, you completed in such a
Mhm.
quick amount of time.
Yeah.
So did you feel sometimes that you had to rush through countries, or did you feel that you missed out on some parts of the country?
Yeah.
Which so what was that like? Because sometimes slow travel is also what you need, right?
Yep, definitely. So yeah, I would say it was really hard to go to some places for the amount of time that I did. To go to most places for the amount of time that I did, right? Like I was not in pretty much anywhere for a very long amount of time, and it was hard to like leave those places and not get to see more and not get to do more. But at the same time, I knew like that's kind of was what I was getting into. Like I didn't have the money or the resources to like just go off and travel for ages, right? Like I had a very condensed schedule and a very clear goal. So yeah, that made it a little easier in my mind, but it was also like I was so young that it's like I can always come back to places, right? And that's what I'm doing. Like I've already gone back to 20 countries. Um and my goal is to eventually go back everywhere and like spend like a week, spend or longer, like minimum of a week. But just actually get to spend a lot of time in places. So no time constraints this time, but just like over the span of my life, I'd love to go back everywhere. That's my goal.
That's also quite wonderful, because it's nice to have some time around in the place and go around and enjoy
Yes.
the entire country as a whole, right? Because I had a trip to Japan recently, and I was there for
Yeah.
5 days, and I was like, I've not even scratched the surface of it.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so that's always something which I
Yep.
feel, and I wanted.
Completely. What
That's
you
something
did.
which is why I wanted to ask this to you as well. But
Yeah.
what was your day in the life like when you were in a country for a very short amount of time? Because what did you do?
Yeah.
So what was your day in the
Yeah, that's a great
there
question.
was yeah.
So a lot of the time, yeah. So, very different depending on the country. I usually was by myself. So like my family each came to visit like for a 2 week period. And I had one friend come to Iceland. But other than that, I was by myself. So, um, yeah, I very rarely had like a guide or something, usually only when it was like for safety reasons or required by the country, or sometimes people would like just like do it because I was like staying with them, that kind of thing. So um, usually I was by myself, sometimes with other people, but yeah, I would try to see if I was there for like a couple days. The main things, try to, meet the people at the places I was staying. But it was not a lot of sleep. I was also like working at the same time. So not like a job, but like working on the
Yeah,
trip,
oh yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. So I basically, it's not like, I started and the whole thing was planned. I basically started in like 6 weeks to 2, 3 months might be like planned at a time, depending on like where in the world it was. So yeah, I'd be planning as well and reaching out to hotels because that was a big part of why I was able to make it happen, just financially. And yeah, I think the goal, like when I was in countries, was to see as much as I possibly could, but I also had to like uh just logistically, the worst would be like when I had a delayed flight, and so I didn't get to like have the expected time I thought that I would in a country. So like there were some places I thought I would get like a day or two and like got nothing. So that was especially painful, but uh, yeah, it was a lot going on all at once.
Absolutely. But you also mentioned that you were traveling solo, and I just wanted to say that that's so inspiring for young
Mhm.
women that they can also do it.
Yeah,
And I want to thank you for that because
yeah,
that's something which is really important. And what you have shown through this entire feat is that uh, people can do it. They can do it solo, and they need to just step out of their comfort zone. So how was it traveling solo,
yeah,
and how was it,
yeah.
yeah, being a woman and going around, so
I
and
lost you at
inspiring
the
so
end of the
many people.
question.
Yeah, so how was it traveling solo and just being around? How did that feel like, and how was
Yep.
that to navigate? Was there a sense of loneliness also which crept
Yeah.
in a little bit of times?
Yeah, there was always, I always to share like these incredible things that you were seeing. So FaceTime was handy. So I'm glad I traveled, in a period of time where we
Yeah,
had that technology. But yeah, I think, it was definitely for me just such a growing experience. So I had just finished school, like I graduated, and 2 weeks later, I started this trip. And so I'm naturally like an introvert, very shy growing up. And I threw myself into this thing where I had to talk to people like everywhere, all over the world, every different type of person. And for me, it like couldn't have been a better opportunity for growth and to learn about myself and to learn about the world, to learn about so many different people, and to really just like push myself and at the same time get to just have this incredible experience. So yeah, and I wouldn't say I was ever lonely. Like I'm pretty good at like being on my own. And especially there's so much going on. Like you're so overstimulated. There's not really
yeah, yeah.
time to be. But yeah, I think just wanting to share it with people and trying to document it as best as I could. And then now getting to go back to like places and get to take my family and get to experience them again is really fun too.
Absolutely. And coming back to what you said, right, which is when you were going solo, you learned a lot. You learned a lot about the world. I say that we learn a lot about from travel more than schools, colleges can ever teach us. So, what are some lessons
Yeah.
that you picked up from travel that you would like to share,
Yeah.
which which cannot be taught in a classroom setting or whatsoever?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. Because a lot of times I would basically say, this is my graduate degree, right? Like that's what this is.
Uh,
But
yes,
yeah, yeah, probably cost less than a graduate degree for a lot of people. But yeah, truly, I learned so much. I saw so much, just so many things that, especially if you haven't traveled, or haven't traveled to certain parts of the world, like there's nothing you can do to like prepare yourself or like know what's coming or what to expect. And yeah, I think one of the main things is just like, um, and you've probably heard this before from talking to people, so I'd be curious, but just like how similar everyone really is, and like at the core, like so many people just want the same things in life. And that's it is like universally so true. And also just genuinely most people are so incredibly kind and good-hearted, and no matter where you are, right? Like no matter where I went, there were wonderful people and people who were willing to help, and people who were just like willing to talk and like had an interest in what I was doing, or because that was another thing with the witnesses, like a lot of times I would just have to just strike up conversation with random
conversation.
strangers and
Yeah,
explain what I was doing. Yeah. And so I met a lot of really cool people through that, and just people all over. So yeah, and I think just like on a grander scale, I think just like not being afraid to take a risk or to do something that's outside of your comfort zone or outside of what people are expecting of you. Like I was on this track to like go do investment banking, right? Like at a great school, like did all this stuff, studied, worked so hard, and then I did this thing like super out of left field, but like it was the greatest thing I've ever done, and completely changed my life for the better. So yeah, I think just not being afraid to take a risk, even if it's really scary or something, people would never expect you to be doing.
Uh, Absolutely. And the way this record, in a sense, pushed you to even talk to people, you being an introvert, you had to go and
Mhm.
speak to people, you had to
Yeah,
get witnesses. So that's also a great thing. And I personally
yeah.
have the fondest memories of traveling when I was interacting with some locals. I was striking up conversation.
Hmm.
I've made some friends across the world, which I'm still in touch with, which is such a beautiful thing about travel,
Yep.
which I also absolutely love so much. So that's also there, but
Yep.
there's also Western media,
Absolutely.
sometimes Western media paints some negative light on some countries and something like that. But you're right, 99.9% of
Yeah.
people are kind and they all want the same
Yep.
thing.
Yep. Exactly. 100%.
So, so that's also a common thing which I've realized over the past 8, 9 episodes is that everybody is just kind. Everybody's looking for the same thing. You just need to be kind yourself and give back to them, which is really beautiful. Um, Also,
Definitely. Yeah.
I wanted to ask a little bit about social media in some sense that
Yeah.
these days the social media is, I think, distorting a little bit of what travel is. It is just
Yeah.
you're just wanting to go to places which are like the Amalfi Coast in Italy, or just Eiffel Tower in
Right.
Paris, or something like that, or
Right.
maybe the some very famous monument. So I think this is the best group to ask this question to, because you've seen so much and you've gone so off the beaten path, right?
Right.
So how important is to do that, get a little bit away from the norm and get a little bit and try to experience something new.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. And social media makes things complicated in a way, but at the same time, I think there's like this baseline of like if it can inspire someone to travel for the first time and like go somewhere even if it's, the Amalfi Coast or wherever it is, like if that's someone's first dip into travel, I would so much rather someone travel anywhere than like, not go somewhere. So I think like at a baseline, if social media is getting people to travel more in general, that's awesome. Obviously, see as many different things to do so, right? Like I think it's very inspiring and eye-opening to go to a bunch of different places. And there's so much cool stuff all over the world, right? Like there's
Absolutely.
there's there are incredible things to see all over. There like I think it's also just like hard conceptually for a lot of people to understand how big the world is and like how some countries are just giant and like it could take you could spend so long in so many different places and like barely scratch the surface as you had mentioned earlier can definitely cause which like again if it's getting people to travel that's great but yeah there's definitely issues with like over tourism and places and I think again there's so many cool places to explore and see and yeah I think it's always good to keep your broaden your horizons and go see more different places good to dip your toe into so um it's always good to have a starting place as well.
Absolutely. And as long as, again, people travel, people see more, it'll just expand their worldview. And you're right to even say that, the more I travel, the more I realize how big, how small, how big the world actually is. It's not a small place. When people say that the world is such a small place, it's not. It's such a big place. There's
Yep.
so much to do and there's so much to see.
Yep.
And everything is so unique. So I also am fully advocating of that just go, just take the
Yep.
plunge, just push yourself,
Yep.
and you'll gain something out of it for sure.
100%.
You'll gain something out
Yeah,
of it for sure.
definitely.
I don't want to ask what your favorite country is, because I'm sure you get that question almost every day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I won't ask you that question, but I, however, will ask you what are some places or some regions or anything in specific, not even a country, maybe a place, a whole region for that matter, which had an impact on
Yeah.
you personally, which you found
Mhm.
unique in your way. Because I've also noticed that what makes a
Yep.
country your favorite is the experiences you've had in it. You might have an amazing experience in Iran, but somebody might not have but somebody might have an amazing experience in somewhere like Kosovo. I don't know anything. So I want to know which countries had a lasting impact on you for whatever reason it might be. Am
I
I audible?
lost you for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, no, no.
Sorry.
So I was just trying to tell you that what makes a country their favorite is the experiences you've had in it, right? The people you've talked with, the things you've seen.
Right.
So what are some
Right.
places, regions, or anything in specific around the world which you really liked, had a
Yeah.
deep impact on you, and why
Yeah.
so?
Yeah, I really appreciate how you phrase that question because that is usually how I like to answer the favorite country question. Because yeah, a lot of the times, like I had some of the best experiences in countries that like might not
Yeah,
be particularly safe to travel to, or something that people normally think of. And I think there's a few countries that I was like particularly scared to go to, like worried
yeah,
for my safety, or just like the things that again talking about the media, like you only hear the negative, right? And so a lot of those countries were in like sort of the Northern Africa or Middle Eastern regions of the world. And yeah, just had some of the most incredible experiences. Two countries that I usually like stand out to me were Libya and Iran, like, um, and Yemen as well. We'll do three. Like terrified to go to each of those, but had like incredible experiences in all three of them. And just like especially Libya and Iran, like just the people were just incredible and could not have been kinder and more helpful and more down to earth and just like wonderful to spend time with. And really, especially like you build these things up in your mind of like what they're going to be and what could go wrong and all of that. And just yeah, it's the complete opposite and just so warm and welcoming. And yeah, I think that's just an important thing about travel is like you really like never know what something's going to be, and a lot of times it's really fantastic. So
Also, for me, Middle Eastern hospitality, in my experiences, also have been unmatched. The food, the kindness, the people,
okay.
even North
Mhm.
African
Yeah,
hospitality. My next trip is also North Africa. Actually, I'm
yeah.
going to Tunisia, and
Oh,
I'm going to go to Malta as
nice.
well. So I'm very excited for that as well. A lot
Yeah,
of, a lot
that's
of,
awesome.
a lot of fun that way as well. So. I also I also wanted to ask and also end on this note is that what what would you say after seeing all countries in the world to people who just want to travel? What is something which they should take away from all your learnings or from your experience? What do you want young travelers, especially because I'm also 19. I'm just dabbling my way into travel as well. I'm trying going solo
Yeah,
now, which I've not
yeah,
done, obviously because of
yeah,
age and everything. So, what would you like to say?
yeah. I think just don't be afraid to get out there and like go somewhere, go anywhere. As we sort of touched on before, like, and it's also never too late, right? Like I have family who have never been on an airplane. I have family who have never left the country, and like this past year I went with them to London and to Paris. Right? Like that was their basically first time. It was their first time leaving the country. So I think first it's like never too late. So like it doesn't matter your age, you can always go somewhere new. My 9-year-old grandma is coming up to visit me in Brooklyn and coming to New York for the first time. So never too late, never too late to experience something new and go somewhere new. But for younger people, I think it's like, don't be afraid to go somewhere just because it's not like somewhere everyone else is going. Don't be afraid to like go somewhere by yourself. I think that's really, it's hard if you're not used to it. It's hard if you're not comfortable with it. But I think you learn so much traveling on your own, so much about yourself. You are just like, I think, a little more in tune to like what's going on. Like you're not focusing on the people you're with, you're focusing on everything that's going on around you, which I think is really it's a really unique experience. I mean, traveling with people is fantastic as well, but don't be afraid to travel by yourself. It's like that's how you're going to get to go somewhere new. And I think it's also like um, where there's a will, there's a way, right? So like I'm not saying everybody go travel to every country, right? Like it's hard and taxing and like it's something you have to really be committed to. But if you want to, absolutely do it. But I think, don't doubt yourself, right? So like I had to figure out how to do this thing and put it all together and pay for it and like do it all on my own, right? And I did, and it was great. And I like absolutely am so glad that I did and took that risk and took that chance on myself. So I think if there's something you want to do, whether it's travel or otherwise, like figure out if there's a way you can do it, right? Like do the research, see if there's a way, even if it's unconventional or a way nobody's done it before. Like there's always again, there's so well, there's a way. So yeah, but just go somewhere and say yes, right? Like that was something a lot of times I'd be really tired on my trip, but someone would like ask me to do something or see something, and a lot like when I would go and do those things, a lot of good things came from them versus just like staying in the hotel room. But also health is important, so prioritize taking care of yourself too, because that can really come back to bite you if you're like sick while you're traveling as well. So yeah, but I think overall just getting out there, seeing something um and pushing yourself. I think, not just whatever pushing yourself is for you, like I think it's important to do that. So yeah.
That's a really beautiful answer, and you mentioned so many things which are all so relevant, and they're all very important as well, and each is more important than the other. So, uh, thank you for that. It was a wonderful conversation. I got to know a lot about your view, a lot about your travels, a lot about your journey, and how it motivated you. And I hope somebody else who's listening to this gets motivated to travel to new places, uh, to travel to different places and learn and expand their worldview, their understanding of the world as well. So thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I always love to talk about travel, and I hope yeah, people go on the next trip. So thank you again.
Yes, I absolutely love it because this entire group, they share such a genuine, deep love for travel. And it always makes me even
Yeah,
happy talking to the next person that they have the same passion and excitement for travel as well. So I thank the entire group and the entire community for that as well. It's a wonderful thing.
yeah.
Thank you so much.